Hello friends, Jennifer Pearson here, Thistle Gypsy with the unfocused, there we go, Tarot of 1001 Nights. And so I was messing with these, took them to bed, messed with them. And I'm not gonna deal with the major arcana right now. What I wanted to do was I wanted to talk about the numbered minors, and I think I did the quartz too, but what I did was I tried to take each of the numbered minors and look at them in terms of development or a story or something like that. And as I've done with other sorts of numberings, looking at things different ways. For example, if I show you the aces and I have my thinking about the aces, if you see a different way, a different story, a different form of development or relationship between them, feel free to share down in the comments. And part of the reason that I'm doing this is that I'm needing to develop a relationship with the deck and to look more deeply at the pictures. And I have to say, I love the borders, and how Persian are these borders, but I do feel like they obscure the image, kind of, that they prevent me a little from going into the image. And I've been experimenting with how to amend that, and partly whether to amend that or just let the deck go. This deck is going to be in the next love reading, in the next deck battle. It's this deck versus the Tarot of the 78 Doors. And I do like it, but the whole modification thing, much as I will do it, if I had more time in my life, I would do it. But I've done the mods before and kind of regretted it, because in the end I decided, I probably should have just let the deck go. Not all of them, but some of them definitely. So there is a danger of my trying to make something work that just inherently is not going to work. But I do feel like this deck has kind of a special place for me. It feels like very watery, and somehow it speaks to my Cancer, which a lot of times I'm quite alien. I mean, I've referred to myself most of my life as the anti-Cancer, because I just don't have very Cancerian traits. I can easily, when I found out what my ascendant and my moon were, those were totally obvious. It's like, oh yeah, that makes perfect sense. The whole Gemini thing with the language and communication, the Virgo with the analysis, and he was like, yeah, that makes total sense. The Cancer, not even now, not so much. It's still a stretch. Pretty much none of the stereotypical traits, or very few of them, do I have. So this deck, for some reason, makes me think like that, of Cancer and watery energy, and sort of romantic energy, and even kind of romantic journey energy that I feel kind of helps me relate to my Cancerian side. So I'm a little reluctant to let it go, but I'm also equally reluctant to modify it. I just don't have the time and energy to mess with that kind of stuff. So if we look at this, I see a progression from, this is like primeval forest, except that the little deers have blankies. So it's almost a primordial forest, except that they're wearing man-made clothing. But that's, to me, is the most primitive. And this just seemed like a very innocent and distracted, like not, relating to nature. But you've got the man-made thing in the background. And this is actually being, in part, held up above. And I don't know where the rest of her body is. I don't know. Anyway, she's got other people that she's relating to, and she's actually being held up above the water there, even though there's some water in her bath or whatever it is. I don't even know what she is. One of the challenges with this deck is that, am I going to get 1001 Nights and read it? I don't know. I've put it on my wish list. So there's a little ship way down there, but they're flying way up here. And so now here's somebody in direct, intimate relationship with another person. And here she's risen up a little bit, and here they're actually in the sky. So there's like an ascension going on among the aces. So that's what I see there. The twos. Again, trying to go kind of from the primitive and natural. And here, all right, we're to the city. So we're single. Here we've got two people. And again, they're still standing distant from the city, but there the city is. And now they're deeply, I don't know if this should be, maybe it should go like this. I don't know, let's take a look. Here, they're together. And this looks like an established garden. It's not out in the wild, it's a civilized garden. And here they're parting. You see they're attached in a very bizarre fashion. He's apparently, it looks like he's attached to the ship, and she is in the ship, which is pulling away. So I don't know if this is first or if it goes like that, but since they're separating here, I'm inclined to do that. So there's the twos. I should warn you that there was a really weird sound a little while ago, and I have no idea what it was. It sounded like a warning sound, though. And so if I hear it again, I'm going to have to like rush off for a second and identify where on earth it's coming from. Yeah. So this is what I see. This is a process of grief, is what I see here. So we have the Three of Swords, very definite grieving there. And then kind of isolating and kind of finding yourself after the grief, reorienting and isolating after the grief. And again, now we've got a companion here that's maybe, again, just, I would say maybe just trying to redirect you emotionally, and then kind of being reintegrated, or not, because if you look at this gal here, she looks like she's not fully part of that group, so maybe at least becoming social again, even if you're not quite feeling it. So that's kind of what I'm seeing there, is a process of grief that goes from isolation to reintegration. The fours. Again, here we have isolation, or again, from the primitive to an interior, if that's what that is. Okay, so here again, you're outside, you're away, dissatisfied, it's night. I don't know if that's supposed to depict a city burning, but this person is detached from that. Still detached, but another person is present with you. Oh, and there's that noise. Hang on. Oh, sorry, everybody. I'm like, what the heck is that sound? It was over by my work computer. And what it was Amber Alerts coming through on my phone. And I'm going to have to find a way to turn that off. Not my phone. I'm going to turn the phone off right now. To turn off the Amber Alerts coming through, because this phone, because it's a work phone, is not my region. My work is in a different state, and this phone is from them, so it's actually, the phone number is a different state, and so they're giving me Amber Alerts that aren't useful to me, aren't relevant to me where I'm at. Lordy. Not to mention that they're disturbing, disturbing my dogs and etc. Okay, so here we are, back to this. So we had the person who's detached, still detached, but has somebody there maybe trying to help you snap out of it or look at things a different way. And then finally, you've been persuaded to engage again with life, or to go to the grand palace, as it were. And so here we are, focused in the midst of riches, back in the material aspect of life, and no longer sort of lost in our emotions. And I don't think that there's any pattern. Like, this is cups, wands. If I look at this progression, this is cups, wands, swords, and pentacles. And this one actually ended in cups. and started with swords. So there's no kind of pattern there that I've discerned. This one ended in swords. And this one ended in swords. I don't know. And this one's going to end in wands. So yeah. Anyway. So let me see. What's the story here? So this is kind of being integrated into a new set of people, being progressively integrated. Even though we've got different people, it's not the same people all the way through. So here's somebody entering. This is the Five of Swords, and it's not a traditional Five of Swords at all. Unless you just look at it as being a person who's in awe of something. Or, you know, entering someplace that's over the top. But most of the images in here are very over the top. So here he is, entering the palace. Again, this is not necessarily the same person, it's just the idea. And here he is being offered as a stranger. He is being offered victuals, you know, things to eat and drink, hospitality. And then the hospitality becomes a little bit more abundant, and the conversation more intimate. And here, to me, this is actually being more fully integrated and, you know, hanging out with a group. And so to me, this is kind of like being approved by the elder, and then you're part of the group with entertainment going on. But I could see it going this way too. You know, you partake in some entertainment and then you have a serious conversation, something like that. Let's look at the sixes. And what's the story here? So I kind of see this as, you know, there's kind of a romantic story right here. And this is the Six of Cups and the Six of Swords. But this a little less so. So maybe I need to change this around. So what I was kind of seeing initially, I think, was seeing this as somebody dreaming of, you know, this building here kind of being, you know, it's only a short distance. They could easily walk around there. But just sort of dreaming together, two people dreaming together. And here they're actually departing. But this is something entirely different. This almost looks like a new relationship. So I think I'm going to, and this is, to me, this is returning. Six of Wands. So I don't know if it goes this way, and you know, you see that gal in the background there who's kind of eyeing the stranger. So we're going to make this a love story. There's the Six of Pentacles, and then they get to know each other. So maybe this is him arriving. All right, so I'm going to make it like almost entirely reversed. So this is the person arriving. This is his reception with the young lady there eyeing him. This is them getting to know each other. And they go off together. Okay. See, I knew there was a reason to do this video. To help sort things out. All right. So I see this as going sort of from impulse, from kind of being learning to put your impulses in check. So I need to also reorder this one, because this is somebody who is going, it looks like, and look, he's got all these watchers. Is going to do something impulsive that is not legal and probably not in his best interest in the end. And maybe he gets away with that. There's no repercussions. But in this case, it looks like there could very well be repercussions. He's having to be much more careful. And there's someone directly there to respond to his behavior. So to me, this is like not respecting the property of others, not respecting the other person, and possibly ending up in some pretty deep doo-doo because of it. And how to order these two, I don't know. This is like being tempted in the desert and going, no, I know that something bad is going to happen. When I'm tempted, something bad will happen. And this would be finally getting to a place of balance where you think before you act. The Seven of Pentacles. So this is kind of an extreme opposite reaction, and this is the more balanced state. At first I wanted to do this, and this would have been his decline. He wants something, and then he wants something more, and then he wants something more, but then he doesn't, and he doesn't. So I think the new way of looking at it, like this, makes more sense. Not having any social conscience and being maybe as a result of this situation forced to have some, social conscience. And then, doing the opposite. It's like, go away. I know you're trouble. Don't tempt me. To, I think I can sort things out without losing control of myself or having to reject outright. All right, the eights. So these ones are a little strange. So you have two that are extremely watery. So even the wands is very watery. And these two seem like a progression. All right, he's adrift, and then he comes ashore to the bathing beauties. And this seems like, all right, and so he's then goes inland and he establishes himself. All right, so this is progress. But then how the heck do we end up here? I don't know if he's putting her in the box or letting her out of the box. Certainly we're getting more interior. Again, here he's adrift. Here we have a safer shore. Here he's even more safer and established and in a building. And here he's apparently in a basement. So I'm just looking at it in terms now. I'm looking of freedom to entrapment. This is freedom, but it's a precarious, dangerous freedom. This is a much safer, secure freedom. Yeah, when you're a slave to work, less freedom. And here certainly she is on the verge of no freedom whatsoever. So I don't know. That's what I'm making of the eights. And the nines. So what was I thinking with the nines? I thought this was the last of the nines, not the beginning of the nines. These two are definitely related. And I think it's progression from this one to this one. This kind of strikes me as an odd Nine of Cups. You can see maybe this is the Nine of Pentacles. This almost looks more Nine of Pentacles to me. These three you can easily see as, wooing someone and different degrees of compliance and forcefulness. Because this person, you can see that looks like she's being presented with something and led a little bit. She's mildly resistant with her arms crossed there, but she's going along with it. Here, it looks like she's putting herself in a position where somebody can't reach her and may even have been trying to hide. And here she's being completely absconded with by strange creatures in the middle of the night. But I don't see how this has anything to do with this other scenario. I see there is at least one woman there. Is it more women? Is it only one man and 4 women? What do you think? So, I mean, it could be, socializing with mostly with your like. In other words, in a safe group, in a riskier group. And it's just you and him now. And it's you and him and a demon carrying you away. So, some strange things going on with the nines. The tens. I think it had something to do with stability, because this, for some reason I was seeing this, which is, like the thing that you thought was permanent is like on the back of a whale or something, or as a ship. It's like it's the land itself is departed or is departing. And you could get sucked into its wake. My throat's getting dry. But I don't know. This could be seen that way too, in terms of something that you thought was established is now departed, and this is departing. So that's the wands and the swords, and they are usually the more negative of the two tens. And this, of course, is beautiful paradise with the animals, reminding me of the Ace of Wands also. And that's the Ten of Cups and the Ten of Pentacles. So this is not, I mean, to me, this is just sort of like the traditional Rider-Waite type of a scenario. I mean, to me, they're not telling a story. It's just you've got two negative cards and you've got two positive cards. Two negative cards in terms of stability and permanence, and you've got two positive cards in terms of stability and permanence. But I don't see them interrelating very much. All right, so I'm giving that one up. Let me know down in the comments if you see the way that they should form a story or a progression of some kind. The Knaves. Again, distance to closeness going on here. Kind of distance to integration. So here you have somebody who's far away looking into the city. Here he's gotten closer and he's peeking into somebody's window. Here he's actually inside, but there's nobody else around. And here he's made himself perfectly comfortable. He's integrated into his surroundings. It's an amusing story, I think. But anyway, the sneakiness that goes on. And this seems to be a progression from safety to risk. And so it's kind of the opposite of what he was doing. So it's starting maybe, again, kind of in a gardenish kind of atmosphere to something barren. It looks like there's somebody or something in the background anyway. Looks like somebody with animals shepherding or something. To what looks like somebody in a desolate wilderness, all on his own. To somebody engaging in high-risk behavior, even with his arms flying out. So that's what I see among the knights. Among the queens, to me this has to do with empowerment among the queens. So here she is with nobody really paying any attention to her. It looks like she's still having to serve herself, etc. And she looks, I don't know, even a little bit confused. So is this, yes, this is the Queen of Cups. Queen of Wands is feeling more empowered, at least with the man of the house. She has no problem expressing her opinion, and it looks to me as though she expects to be heard and to be on an equal par with him. Here, she is more the lady of the house, where you have to come forward to address her. So she doesn't have, no longer is she going up and finding somebody and making complaints. If somebody wants to appeal to her, they can come up to her and they can make an appeal to her. That she has private chambers and probably somebody at the door giving permission for somebody to come in. Queen of Swords. Not only are they coming in, you've got the servant person. I don't know if they're coming in with offerings. I don't know what's on her head. But for some reason, these two people seem like they are making an assumption of her power, like, oh, we must go to the Great One. We must go to the Great One and make an appeal to her so that she can help us. Whereas this just looks like he's going maybe to ask a question. This looks like they're requesting more substantial help, which implies more substantial power on her part. So there it is. Queens, almost finished with the kings. And the kings are pretty much the same as the queens, although my final king I really have as being in a place of solitude. But it's a similar story, you know. So here, and again, it's with the cups. You know, he's kind of in his own space, his own place. Nobody's around. Among the men, the next step of power is having the attention of women. Okay, so women think that you're important, but maybe other men don't think that you're important. Now you've got the men, presumably the other people of power and import. Hate to be so sexist, but you know, consider when, you know, when 1001 Nights was written, and you know, everything. So now he's in a greater place of power. Goodness, here, just, you know, they're just, well, she's kind of bowing down to him and making an appeal. But now you've got other men bowing down to you. Now you're letting somebody else take care of all that bowing down and all these, you know, you're so wealthy you can, you know, sit out by your giant tree and not be bothered. Anyway, so there it is. And again, I haven't, whoops, goodness, that phone. I haven't messed with these to come up with any kind of, you know, I've got them, looks like I put them in order. And I don't, at 37 minutes, I probably won't do it now either. But I think I did tend to look at this as, you know, this person has trials to go through. You know, he's more like a Marseille kind of a fool, as opposed to a Rider-Waite-Smith kind of a fool. And it's like here he meets, you know, the charlatan, you know, the smoke and mirrors man, you know, and he has to get past that. And here he's meeting, you know, the oracle. And he has to decide whether, you know, where is the truth? So we're going through phases of what is the truth. And this, I don't know. I don't know why he'd have anything to do with her, or why he would go to see these people. You know, I see emperors are gatekeepers for sure. But I don't know what the empress would kind of represent. And their Hierophant in this deck is really weird. And maybe it's the man in the white robes is really supposed to be the Hierophant here, but I am assuming it's the guy in the outrageous bed. This card I don't get. Okay, so at this point, when you enter the Lover's card, you're kind of leaving the appeals of authority, and you're starting to find, I don't know, the answers in life with people who are at the same level as you are. But then with a Chariot, maybe you're rising yourself up. So maybe the Lover's card is pivotal because you're no longer. It's an interesting thought given, again, if we think about the male journey, is the ideal of appeals to authority and everybody having more authority than you until you get married. And then once you have a helpmate, or again, if we look at the sexist underpinnings here, your first helper servant, and or I'll be nice, motivation to succeed, to become your motivation to become the authority and shift to becoming a provider, and then you become more ambitious and become a provider. What's that? Oh, it's a leopard or something. Yeah, I don't know, but you see, I feel like the story is falling apart quickly. So I'm not able to make a story unless I really rearrange these, and I haven't done that yet. So I'll let it go. It is what it is. You will see these cards featured shortly in the deck battle. And I'll be curious to see how they read. I did use them last week on my love channel in a reading, and it worked out okay. Not gonna knock it. Read it pretty much intuitively. All right, everybody. That's enough deck rambling for now. Take care, and I will see you again soon. Bye-bye.